Welcome, friends, to the most updated version of Eden Associates and Friends. We're so excited that you're here. We are recording this event in case people weren't able to join us live, so you can listen and catch up with the news later. So this is our fourth event for this year, fourth and final event for this year. And we always like to start by reminding everyone of what Culture Change Network of Georgia is all about. The Culture Change Network of Georgia is changing the way we think and feel about aging and disability by creating the kind of care and support we want for our loved ones and ourselves. And we are working right now on the dates for next year's quarterly Eden Associates and Friends. So be on the lookout in the newsletter and social media. And just as a reminder, I just wanted, for those of you who maybe weren't aware, some of the folks that have been featured and special guests during this past year, we had Oaks at Hampton and their crew talking to us about what the great stuff that they're doing. We had Deke Cato join us and talk to us about his fabulous book. And hopefully you all have read that. If not, you need to check it out. We had Gwyneth Johnson from Second Wind Dreams and the Virtual Dementia Tour as a guest. And we had Jennifer Kraft Morgan talking about news and updates from our grant and the survey with nursing homes about how COVID affected their care practices. And we also talked about how trauma-informed approaches connect with culture change and really work perfectly together with culture change. We also celebrated our 15th year, which is unbelievable, and we had our summit, yay, on August 31st. And there's a recording of that if you all would like to catch up on it. It's not an all-day thing, it's short, but it really gives a great history and overview of our past 15 years. And we also had Oaks at Hampton and residents and families and even their medical director join us and talk about how different their culture is because of their journey with culture change and the Eden Alternative. And it's awesome. It's really fabulous. And Deke joined us to talk about the importance of leadership. So we highly recommend it if you have time to catch up and watch it. And another little piece of news, October is a Residents' Rights Month. So wanted to let you all know that we have a video on what are residents' rights. It's just a few minutes and you all are welcome to find it on our YouTube page, or we've posted it on our Facebook page. So share that and you're more than welcome to use it every way you can to help educate people about resident rights. For many of you in Georgia, you all participated in Dementia Beyond Drugs, and we just finished that. Yes, I see Jackie giving a thumbs up. Our online class, and we had so much excitement about it that we were able to add another session. So we did 2 sessions, and it was in conjunction with the Eden Alternative, and lots of work by Denise Hyde, who you'll hear from in a minute. And Many of you also are certified Eden Associates, and in Georgia, we now have more than 1,300 certified Eden Associates, and will be growing more because in our grant, we will be able to offer certified Eden Associate training as well as Dementia Beyond Drugs training for the next 2 years. So now we're going to get to our big news and our guests, our special guests, Denise Hyde and Meredith Martin with the Eden Alternative. And we always talk about Eden during our quarterly meetings, Denise and Meredith. But you all know about the new website. We mentioned it, but they're going to tell us more. And during one of our past events, we highlighted the refreshed principles. So I'm going to not show that now, but I'm going to just stop sharing my screen and turn it over to Denise and Meredith.
Thank you, Kim, and thank you to the Culture Change Network of Georgia. I have to also mention that we also have Christy Doan with us from the Eden Alternative on the line today. So the three of us are just thrilled to be here at the Eden Associates and Friends gathering to share a little bit of news and updates. So some of you all may have already known that we have a new, he's not new anymore, he's been here 2 years, Patrick Boltema, a CEO and president. And Kim McCrae just asked that maybe we share a little bit about Patrick being new to the Eden Alternative. And I thought, well, how about we just hear from Patrick? So I have a short video, a message from Patrick, introducing our new Eden membership. So I'd like to start there and hope that technology works for me. So hopefully, here we go.
Greetings. My name is Patrick Boltema, and I serve as the president and CEO of the Eden Alternative. In case you aren't familiar with Eden, just a few words. All too often, care is something that's done to elders in a more institutional, medical kind of a way, and the result is not a happy outcome. Eden advocates for a different approach of delivering care with elders in a way that empowers them to live the lives they want to live, recognizing changing abilities, and transforming care to more of a partnering approach. Today, I'm excited to announce the launch of a whole new membership offering. And there's two important elements why I'm really excited about what we're doing here. The first is an element of belonging, of connection, of community. Over the years, we've trained literally tens of thousands of people in the elder care industry, but haven't necessarily provided an easy way to stay connected, to be part of a community that shares a vision and values for doing elder care better. The other element is making it easier to implement the Eden approach. As you explore and look at the new membership program, you'll see that we've got a whole series of tracks and practices with lots of guidance on how you can implement the Eden approach in a simpler, more effective way. We're really excited about this new membership offering. We've heard great things, both from people who have been longtime parts of the whole Eden Alternative, but also communities that have been intrigued but just haven't known how to get involved. We hope you will choose to join and be part of the membership of the Eden Alternative. Thanks so much.
Yay! That is awesome. I'm so excited to hear all about this.
Great.
Denise, this is big news, big news.
It is. I'm going to share my screen again. In hopes that once I hit play here, hopefully you see that, right?
Yes. You got
Okay,
it.
yay. And I have a new computer. So just making sure all technology is working for me here. So yes, again, just wanted to share a little bit of highlights about the new Eden membership and how you can get connected. So I will just continue on here and let you know that Patrick alluded to this, but we're really, we're looking at merging two themes, really bringing together the intent of our registry, which is what we've had for decades, with a mechanism of belonging, which is membership. So what we've been doing is, we've had a lot of people that have either learned about Eden, or maybe they heard Bill Thomas speak at an event, or they read a book, or they worked in a community implementing the approach, and they've gotten involved, and they're passionate about it, and they want to be connected. So we have all these people that want to be connected, and then we have a lot of organizations that also are full of those same individuals, but they're implementing the approach at the organizational level. We've really, beyond our associate designation, we've really never had a membership for individuals that were not connected to a registry member organization. So that's a big new thing and that we're really excited about. So to kind of dive into that a little bit, there's two kinds of membership. There's the organizational membership, which really is Eden to every member of that organization. So every person that's part of that organization is also a member of Eden by virtue of being a part of that organization. We've got certain deliverables that members receive, resources and discounts, but also a community connection with like-minded people implementing the approach so we can all learn and grow from each other. And then there's the individual, Eden to one. How do we provide a connection point for consumers, for people out in the community that maybe aren't connected to an organization implementing the approach? So we've got this new pathway, and it's also a mechanism for our current Eden educators to maintain their credentials. So the individual membership is very affordable. It's only $29 a year. There's deliverables and discounts and connection and belonging to Eden. But again, this is only for people that are not part of an organization that's implementing the approach. For organization membership, we have special priced options based on the resident capacity or the elders living in the community. So we work with the organization, we meet them where they are, and we work on pricing so that it works for people. And I'd love to open it up to Denise to share a little bit about the different levels and a little bit about the tracks and practices and how we got here.
So I would just add to what Meredith had to say about individual membership. There may be a case where, yes, you fall under the organization's membership, but you also want to be your own member so that if you move or leave or change jobs, you stay connected to us. So know that it's a both and kind of thing. You can decide which way you want to go with that. Organizational membership, that's the registry stuff, or what used to be the registry stuff. So it's the group that I'm most familiar with. So there's three different, so let me say, there's organizational membership, but there's three different ways you can engage as an organizational member. So you can choose to become a general member, and that's the triangle, the diamond on the left. And that's basically anybody, any organization can join and be a general member. You will have access to what we're going to describe as the tracks and practices. You're going to get discounts, you're going to get resources, you're going to get regular communications, you're going to get some data reports, pretty basic stuff that you're going to get, and nobody's going to hold you accountable to anything. So depending on your motivation and your capacity right now, just being connected may be enough as an organization, and that's what general membership is about. Just you can connect and you can benefit from what we have to offer, but there's no application, there's no like hoops you have to jump through or anything. So that's general membership. And then there is growth membership. And growth membership is general members who want to be held a little bit more accountable. They want to see a little bit more of what we have to offer. They want to engage with us a little bit at a higher level, and they can become growth members. There is an application process involved. There are three key practices that you have to implement, and you all are going to say, well, yeah, of course. like the executive leaders and operational leaders in the governing body, y'all got to be committed to person-directed care, right? You've got to get thinking about your language and starting to use person-first language rather than so much medical model language. And then you've got to educate everybody about what this is all about, so they all can catch the vision and be a part of your process of implementing. So, like, those are pretty basic things. So that's what we ask growth members to have done. And then they can choose 3 other practices to implement. And I'll explain that again in a little bit more in a minute. But you do that and you fill out a little bitty application beyond what you already did to become a member, and you get approved and you become a growth member. And then once you become a growth member, you have more access to tracks and practices. And we ask you just 2 practices a year. Just work on 2 things a year at a minimum. Likely there'll be more you'll want to do. You want to move faster. Some will want to move faster. Some will want to move slower. But just 2 new practices that you implement every year. Okay. And then you also might want to become, in that 3rd diamond on there should say certified. I don't know why it says general, but there it is, certified. And that particular is the next type of member you can become. So you can join as a general member. You can choose to become a growth member, or you can choose to become a certified member. Now, certified members still have to do those 3 basic practices. Like, you got to have the key leaders all have to be committed to person-directed care. You got to be thinking about your language, and you got to educate everybody in some basic level about the Eden alternative. And there are 6 other practices that we want you to choose to implement. So we've got a list of 9 that we think are pretty important, and you choose 6 of those to implement. And then you choose 10 others. So the bar is a little bit higher to become certified. You have to have done more stuff and laid more groundwork to be successful. The other thing I forgot to mention, for growth members, we want you to have 10% of your employees be certified Eden associates, and for certified, 20%. Now, there's a caveat there that I'll explain if you want to know about it later, but they need to become certified Eden associates in person, online, become Eden associates. So that's kind of the bar for associates. And we do that because we know from decades of working with communities that you need a certain level of change agent capacity to be sustainable. Turnover is just so high, you really need to shoot for a bar and try to stay there as best you can. So we've got general membership, just join, have fun, benefit, it's great. You can become a growth member, do a little bit more work, apply for that. 10% are Eden associates. Implement 2 new practices a year. You get additional benefits, additional discounts, additional reporting, additional resource provision. We up our game a little bit for growth members. And then for certified members, again, more practices you need to implement, but you get even bigger discounts, bigger benefits, more resources. And then we do ask that certified members get certified. So if we're going to certify them, like, somebody's got to come out and visit them. So once every 3 years, we work with you to arrange an on-site visit that you pay for, to have somebody come out and do a certification process. And it's not like state survey. No. We're coming in, and we're coming in to acknowledge the good work that you are doing. We are there to say, where can we help? What coaching do you need? What guidance? What other resources do you need? That's what we come in to do. So it's not like this heavy duty, like, whisper behind the closed doors that the surveyors here think. This is like bring them in, let's have some fun. So we want it to be a good experience for everybody, but a growing experience too. So those are the 3 different ways as organizations you can join up with us. And then you can see over on the right, it talks about awards. So our certified members, we're going to create an award group for them. I don't know what it looks like yet. You'll help us design that. That's part of being a part of a community, is that you are a citizen, you are a co-creator. So a lot of this membership stuff is going to evolve as people join and become members, and we listen to you and we learn from you, and things will evolve over time. So we are anticipating that there will be some sort of an award process that happens, but I can't tell you what it looks like yet. So that is coming. So to do this, we had to take the Path of Mastery and rethink it. Now, the reason we did this, and I'm going to tell this to all of the registry members that are listening, I love the Path of Mastery. I think it's awesome. It was the best thing we ever created. I was part of it when we created it back in 2008 to 2010. Love it. Way better than what we had before, which was nothing. But over time, and with people implementing it and organizations implementing it, we have heard feedback that like it's a lot to try to have to get through a whole milestone before we feel like we can celebrate. And that wasn't the intention, but that's kind of the way it's been adopted. So one of the things we talked about with the new CEO coming in is, can we make it better, make it different? So I can tell you that Chris Angevine, my teammate, and I sat in my kitchen and we looked at the Path to Mastery and we put it all on Post-it notes and took it all apart and reorganized it. And then we said, what's missing based on all the conversations we've had with everybody working through all these milestones? What else are people doing that we haven't even thought of and put in there yet? And added a whole bunch more Post-its. And then we said, okay, we got to organize all of this somehow. And it ended up falling into tracks, what we called tracks. So we had steps, and you know this if you've been working on the Path to Mastery. There are always steps in each milestone that relate to leadership and leadership growth and what leaders need to be doing. There's always steps that have something to do with education. There are steps that have to do with employee practices and getting employees engaged in part of the process. There are always steps in there, not as many as we have now, we've got more, but related to kind of clinical stuff. We talk about care plans and that and rehab services and stuff like that. We kind of added to that, but there is some clinical service stuff that comes up in the milestones. Communication is a big part. We talk about learning circles and that kind of stuff throughout the Path to Mastery. How to get into people's rhythms of daily life, having the elders have more choice. There are steps in all four that talk about food and dining, big part of life. Institutional trappings, yeah, that's written in there big time in the Path to Mastery. And then creating this sense of community. And there was a little bit about it, but now we got more. And so those are 9 of the tracks. And then there's goal setting and QAPI and data gathering. That's
Wait a minute.
What
is QAPI for those who don't know?
Oh, quality assurance performance improvement. One of those required things, if you get Medicare, Medicaid supplementation, you have to do that. So we have a track that's all about quality improvement and goal setting and data gathering and that. We have a track just focused on loneliness, helplessness, and boredom. And what is the 12th one, Christy? Oh my gosh, it just went out of my head.
Loneliness, helplessness.
Yeah, we got loneliness, helplessness, and boredom.
Employee practices, community. Sorry, wasn't.
Yeah, there's another one, and I had forgot. I'm sorry. It's like went out of my head. I'll get it. But the idea is that there's 12 tracks, and then we took all the little pieces, the little outcomes out of the milestones, and put them under those tracks, and we call them practices. So there's 12 tracks. There's multiple practices. Right now, if you want to become a growth or a certified member, you'll get to see 56 practices. But I can tell you behind the scenes, there's 241. So there's more to come. But we figured over 200 was too much for people to absorb right away. So we're going to kind of edge them out a little bit at a time. But there's 56 that everybody gets, that growth and certified members get to see right now. General members get to see 21. So you can kind of see kind of where things are set up right now. And then we went through every one of those practices, and Christy was a part of this, and we said, okay, so this practice, based on what we know from people that have been implementing person-directed care, how much effort is it going to take to make this practice happen? And we rated it high, medium, or low. It's going to take a lot of effort, medium amount of effort, not very much effort. You can get this in place. So we rated it on effort. And then for every practice, we said, okay, so if they're able to do it, what kind of impact does it have on the elders, on the employees, on the community, on the home, whatever language you want to use, but what's the impact of implementing this particular practice? And again, we rated it high, medium, and low. And then we said, visibility. Are people going to actually be able to see it, walk in the door and see it? Because you all know that a lot of what you do can't be seen and it can't be touched. So we wanted to be really honest about how visible it might be. And again, we rated it high, medium, and low. Never did that before with the Path to Mastery. So that was really fun to go through and think, okay, really, can people see this? What kind of impact could it have? And how much effort does it take? So lots of discussion to try to get to that for every single one of the 241 practices that there are right now. And then we got challenged by the CEO to figure out how how is this implemented? So for every one of the practices, we decided what's the why? And we wrote out, why do you want to do this practice? Because like the why is really important. You all know this with change. If you can't give people the why, pretty hard to get them engaged, right? You gotta know the why. So we said, okay, what's the why? And we wrote out the why for everyone. And then we said, now, when you're thinking about implementing it, what might be some things you want to put in place first, or some assumptions that you want to have, or some observations, or some training you want to do? What are some things you want to do to kind of lay a good foundation upon which this practice can evolve? So there are what we call assumptions for every practice. And so again, these are things like you might go out and observe, you might check on, you might just mark it off. Yeah, we trained everybody on that, or yeah, we all hold this belief and that kind of stuff. So those are the assumptions that we feel are like important to think about before you start on the practice. And then we said, what kind of baseline data might people go after? Again, never talked about this with the Path to Mastery steps, but now we have. So if you're going to implement, if you're going to do that step about all the executive and operational leaders have all been educated on the Eden alternative, well, some baseline data you might want to create is that, who actually went through what training and what did that look like? Okay, so you're going to get some info, so you're going to collect data. So we've identified some things you want to observe, things you want to measure, look at, turnover rates, that kind of stuff, things you want to look at before you even get started. So you've got some baseline to work from. And then, sorry, I got to take a big breath. Okay, so then we said, okay, start to finish. Where do you start, and what would be the process you would work through? So we used our growth model to kind of underline this. So we did a lot of like, why, get real, right? Do some baseline collection. Where are we at? What are we doing? And then you eventually need to come up with the plan of how you're going to do it. So that's what we did. We used the growth model to figure out what is the plan to move forward. So we broke it out step by step by step by step by step, and a few sub-steps along the way. But all kinds of different things. You want to get this group of people together, and you want to educate them, and then you want to dream with them, and then you want to do some observation, and then you want to come up with a plan, and then you want to run it by these people and get their approval, and and all the way to sustainability, all the things you need to do to make sure the practice stays in place. So that was really fun. Then we said, okay, what outcomes do you want to measure? So now that you've put the practice in place, what outcomes do you want to measure to assess your implementation process, as well as the outcome of actually putting the process in place? So we created a lot of measures around that as well. So we got all that done.
First of all, it sounds like y'all have been lollygagging over there at the Eden Alternative. This is so exciting. I want to interrupt and ask a question just for clarification. Now, this is not just for nursing homes. Is that correct?
So yes, we think that some of the steps are adaptable, and as we get more members that are in different kinds of environments caring for elders, we expect them to help us develop new steps and new processes and practices that we want to put in place. So I have to say our history has largely been with the assisted living and skilled and long-term care kind of side of things, a few independent housing kind of setups. So there's going to be steps that, yes, you're going to get it. And there's going to be other steps that you're going to go, yeah, no, that doesn't sound like us. And then you're going to reach out to me or Christy or Chris or somebody else on the team and say, hey, this needs to be worked on if you live in this set, if you are caring for elders in this setting, and can we add it? And we're going to go, yeah, help us do that. And so we totally expect our members to help us keep growing this.
I wanted to just, get that out there so that people who are listening, to answer that question, because I know that there'll be a lot of those questions in people's minds, but just the way that there are choices and options of practices, people can find things to work on to get going, regardless of what kind of organization they're in.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. Okay. Okay, sorry to interrupt. Just
No,
wanted-
you're good. You're good. So yeah, flexibility was going to be the next thing that I talk about. And Christy, I repeat this all the time. Christy said, choose your own adventure. I love it because that's what we want to do is give you autonomy. We talk all the time about autonomy and choice and how important it is. And then here we give you these constructed milestones that are all like boxed in. And so this opens the door. So you can choose what, like food and dining. We need to improve food and dining. We know we do. So you're going to head right into that track. You're going to look at those practices, pick one that works for you, and you're going to take off with it. Or you're going to say, hey, you know, we're really struggling with institutional trappings because, like, look what happened to us during the pandemic. Like, it all creeped back in. So let's get refocused on that. So you're going to go to that institutional trappings and start looking at those practices and get going. Or we've had big changeover in leadership. We need to like get back on board and on track with leadership. So that may be where you go. So it just, you get to choose based on, again, your motivation, the relevance to where you are, your capacity for change. And you could go in and look at the practices and go, we really need to work on leadership, but boy, our capacity is not great. So let's look at those low effort ones that have a bigger impact. And those are the steps we want to look at. And you can do that. So we've organized it all, first of all, by effort, and then by impact, and then by visibility.
It sounds very person-centered and person-directed in terms of how the organizations can make it work for them.
Yep.
That's awesome. Awesome.
It is awesome. So Meredith, are you prepared to give them a sneak peek, or you want me to?
Do you have it pulled up, or I can? Either way.
I have it pulled up.
Go for it.
Okay. So I'm going to show you what we call the Eden Navigator, give you just a little sneak peek. And the Eden Navigator is the name for where the tracks and practices are. So you won't be able to access this unless you sign up as an organization to become a member. This is not going to be for individual members. This is just going to be for organizations at this point in time. But you will get directed to this as a web page where you will sign in. Oh, don't tell me about the traffic light. I wanted to show you signing in so that you would know. And I apologize, you're going to get in the back door. I'm going to get in the back door, but let me fix this really quick. Okay. And you're going to go to your dashboard. And you are going to see, I'm going to view all of them. So we have a place for general membership. So if you join as a general member, this is what it's going to look like for you. If you're a growth member, this is what you're going to see. And if you're a certified member, this is what you're going to see. But I'm just going to quickly show you the growth member course, if you will. So you can see, now we'll find out what the one was that I missed. Person First Language, that's the one I missed. So there is just some general resources that you have accessible to you. And then the tracks are leadership, communication, person first language, education, loneliness, helplessness, and boredom, employee practices, clinical services, rhythms of daily life, food and dining, institutional trappings, or community. So first of all, you pick the track. What track do we want to work on? So we'll go to food and dining because that's kind of fun. And then you should be able to go in here. And this is not what it actually should look like for you. So hang on a second.
Yeah, use that leadership when it looks like you're enrolled in that. There you go.
Oh, this is the resources. I don't want that one. Hang on, go back. Let's do that one. Do leadership. All right, so when you get in, it looks like this. So it looks like kind of our Evolve courses. So there's a welcome to the track video. There's the lovely Christy. And then there's how to use the Eden tracks and practices. And then there is a summary document so you can print off like what all the tracks and practices are for leadership. We came up with cute little titles for all of them to make them a little easier to find. And then, like I say, they're organized by effort and then impact and then visibility. So it starts with the low effort practices. So you can go right in and say, okay, this is the practice I want to work on. Consistent communication. How important is it for leaders to all be singing from the same song in the same songbook and the same verse of the same song? So it's about consistent. This step is about consistent communications practice. You can put in your name. Here's the practice. Here's the effort and the impact and the visibility. And then, like I said, there's a why. Here are the assumptions. And then you can just go in and check them off as you get them done. Yep, we got that one, we got that in place, we got that in place. You can just mark them as you go along. And then here's the data, baseline data we recommend that you collect. You can put in your information, dates. If there's other things you want to measure at baseline, you can add your own measures. And then here's the implementation process. Again, as you move along, you can just check things off that they're done. Yay. You can write a story, and the box does expand as you write the story. It gets bigger. And then we have outcomes. So again, there's outcomes. We've got like 3/4 worth, but you can use this however you want to. But here's the measures. You can add a couple more measures if you want to. And then there's a place at the bottom to take some notes or who added to it, so you know who actually created it. And then you can totally download it and save it to your computer, and you've got a hard copy, but you can always come back in here to look at it again. And the beauty of it is that we have access to this as well on the back side of the system, so that as you complete things and say, hey, we completed this practice on consistent communication with leadership, and we're a growth member, and it's one of the 2 that we're working on this year, we can go in and see it. And then we can give you feedback, ask you questions if things don't look right to us or something like that. So there's this ease of communication, which we've never had with the Path to Mastery. And I really—
Oh my gosh, this is amazing. And
Wow.
I know, I'm so excited. And oh my God. Okay, so in terms of, and Joan, I'm asking you this too, I mean, thinking about this in terms of when people are having and required to work on QAPI performance improvement projects, would not the fact, like just that one page right there, because you're doing measurements, wouldn't that count as a project, a performance, a PIP, a performance improvement project, Denise? I can't hear you now.
It was my hope that the way we scoped this out would probably meet 75, if not more, % of what you need for a PIP.
I agree. I agree.
Okay, because Joan, you've done a lot of those in your day.
Yes, I have.
And I'll just add, as someone's using one of these and using it for a PIP, let's say it requires meeting minute. It requires something that this doesn't capture. Like Denise said, reach out to us. Let us know what you need for this to meet that criteria, and we can look at making customization.
Fabulous.
The beauty of the way these pages work, where you're going to track everything, is that if you come to us as an organization and say, listen, this is what we need to make this work, we'll add it into the basic workbook, and then it shows up for everybody. So what you bring to us to improve it, everybody benefits. Everybody that's a member that's seeing those workbook pages gets the benefit of that. So I really love this system that we found. I think it's really great.
That is just blowing me away. What now? You guys are just now launching, right? I mean, it's just fresh off the hatchery or whatever. You guys have been scheming on this for a long time. So what kind of feedback have you been getting from people?
I am not aware of a lot of feedback. People are still just trying to figure out, how do I sign up? So what we're doing right now is working on really transitioning current registry members into membership. So if you are on the registry right now, you got invited to either be a growth or a certified member right off the bat. No application required, no practices you have to put in place because you've already done it. You've done milestone 1, 2, 3, 4. So we are just moving registry members in. So that's the biggest thing, that if you're a registry member and you don't know about it, reach out to your community builders and let's help you get in. And then we've been just widely advertising it, so anybody that wants to become an organizational member or an individual member can totally just go do it on their own. So if you go to www.edenalt.org, and then you go up to what we offer, and there's an Eden membership option under there. You can go directly to our Eden membership page on the website. And as you go down the page, you're going to see buttons. that'll help you apply and get started and that kind of stuff, so you can get right into the membership system and get going.
I love that there are so many different ways that people can get involved. And I also love that regular, just consumers and regular people in the community, and I, of course, did it in air quotes because nobody is just a just,
No.
but I love that everyone can stay connected, because over the years with us in Georgia, we've had, like I said, over 1,300 certified Eden associates, but a lot of them weren't nursing home people, and they weren't even assisted living people. So we have had people from throughout the whole spectrum of care and services and the community and the general population. So this is and once people are exposed and introduced to the principles and the philosophy, people love it, as we know, and they want to do something, but they haven't known what to do. And I just see that there can be so many ways that, like when I was a consumer that wanted to find places that were doing this for my mom, this gives you a very a better, easy path and way to tell organizations, look, this is what we want you to be doing, right?
And I want to say, as someone who's run many organizations, but also now are consulting with several, is that this seems like a very user-friendly, to use the term now, way for organizations that know about Eden, think it's a great idea, but don't quite get ready to start. And it seems like, okay, how many people can we afford to send? And, blah, blah, blah. So I think this is a way that the execs who are starting to look at this could make a commitment in an easy way without, and start moving their organization forward. So I like it a lot.
I mean, Joan, for people who don't know, you didn't just start working in long-term care a few years ago, right?
Quite a few years ago.
And you also, I mean, Joan's run hospitals. I mean, she's CCRCs, nursing homes, assisted living. She's built things from the ground up. So that's some wonderful feedback from you, Joan.
Yeah, there are two organizations I'm presently consulting with, and they've sent a couple people to become Eden certified, but it's been scattering here, there, and it's just sitting there. And I've been trying to say, okay, how do we get the organization to really move forward? And I think this provides a nice, as I said, user-friendly way for people to get started without feeling like they, first of all, have to spend $1 million, and then also how they can start to support their staff.
Yeah.
And then what we haven't mentioned yet is that part of membership, and it's, like I said, we're just getting started. So I appreciate, Kimberly, that you're putting like some context around this. So we're just getting started. But once you become a member, there is a community that you join within the membership system. So we are going to be constantly putting postings out there, ideas, blogs, web, video links, that kind of stuff, things to help you continue to get information that inspires you to keep growing and stretching, whether you're a general member, a growth member, or a certified member. There'll be more specialized stuff with growth and certified members simply because we know what they're working on, but there'll be stuff available to everybody. So we do really want to make sure that you know that there's a lot of behind the scenes ways that we're going to connect, have events, have gatherings, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I agree with you, Joan. Some people, it's just like the hurdle's too high. We can't do that. Too much turnover. We won't train people. Great, become a general member. You'll get some good stuff, you'll get started, and then when timing's right and you want to move up and be a growth, that's great. Or if you're a growth member and like life has shifted, we need to be a general member for a while. Cool our jets.
The other thing I found in long-term care especially is that it's one thing that for them to hear it, but to actually talk to people who are doing it or struggling with it means a lot. When I started implementing CQI way back in the old days, I was the first long-term care organization. And the next thing I knew, I was going all over the country talking to other people about how they could do it. They could read about it, but until they heard how I actually did it, they just couldn't proceed.
And we know, all of us who've been involved in the culture change movement, we know that so many people, when we start talking about doing culture change, it sounds so woo-woo, you know, but this helps people see the different steps and think about how to figure out where to start where you are and celebrate where you are and acknowledge the people for where they are and not feel so overwhelmed like, oh my God, I can't even imagine doing this. I love it.
I also think it could provide, and it does provide an opportunity for the board to begin to truly get on board to understand what you're trying to do and to help the exec in that journey.
That's an important point, Joan. That's really important. Do you mean, expound on that a little bit? Do you mean the fact that they can look at and see what the steps are so that it's concrete and
right,
not
and get feedback, you know, if we're making these commitments and we're wanting to move, what are the things that are, why do we study this and why do we study that, and what do we think we have to go back to and why? And I think if that kind of thing is communicated to the board, you know, they tend to sometimes not understand what's really going on. They look at the numbers, they look at, you know, strategic plan, but this is real, and they could really begin to be a support to the execs as they move forward.
Yeah. And that just brought to mind what all of us have heard Deke talk about, Deke Cato, who's on the board of Eden, about what was so important to AG Rhodes when they were going through COVID was the tremendous support of the board.
Mm-hmm.
So making sure there are ways to get the support of the board is vital. I also just talking about the why. I am thrilled about that because so often we all have heard people who don't know why we're even talking about what we're talking about. So everybody always needs to know the why so they can feel like part of it. I bet y'all used a hell of a lot of sticky notes, Denise. How many dozens, thousands, zillions of sticky notes and flip charts? I bet you had to move your husband out of the house, didn't you?
He went up to the other floor, went down to the man cave.
Okay. Jackie, I'd like to, what all is going through your mind? I mean, I see you're just, I see your eyeballs.
So I'm just thinking about, you know, we have so many certified Eden associates here.
Yeah, how many do y'all even have? Now, Jackie, introduce yourself to people who may not know who you are if they're listening.
So I'm Jackie Hurt. I am the training guide for Isaacson Living at Park Springs. And I am the one here who provides all of the training on our model of care. I do the dementia training. I've recently been asked to be a state champion for the Alzheimer's Association for the next legislative year. So I'm excited. And, you know, we've always when we were doing in-person Eden training, we hosted lots of classes here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to compile, because I know, like, I pick people, like I go around and I'm like, you need to do Eden training, you need to do Eden. You, like, I go around and then I post it, and like, but I know that we're not as an organization on the registry, and that's an Andy Isaacson thing, and I can't tackle that, but I can keep encouraging our people, our associates, to do the training, sign up as individuals, and even those of us who've already done it, to stay connected, because I think that the Eden model of care and our model of care are so very similar. I mean, all of the same tenets are there, you know, autonomy, treating elders with respect and dignity, like they still have goals and aspirations, making sure that life is as meaningful as possible. It's all about being person directed. It's all about the people we're caring for. And so I always, when I ask people to go through the Eden training, when I bring it to them, I tell them, listen, the more you know, the more you know. And I think it's really important for you to go through this Eden training, because even with our model of care, the Eden training is just going to make you that much more vulnerable, that much more open to people, and give you that many more skills. And then if you choose to move on, you've already got it. You already get it. And so I think it's just another building block for success and culture change across a multitude of organizations, not just
Yeah.
organizations who are really involved in culture change, but, you know, if we have people that choose to leave here and go elsewhere, we've given them some tools to bring to new employers and new organizations that maybe those organizations haven't seen before. And so it's like planting seeds of trees you might not ever see grow. And I think it's just amazing. So that's my.
In fact, I love that. And when we first started hosting, and you all so graciously hosted us to have the classes there with you all, I mean, we knew that you weren't planning to get on the registry, but we talked about it. All this other stuff builds and adds and is complementary. And
Mhm.
people don't have to feel like it's this versus that. These
No.
all ways to get where we're trying to go. So that's it. That's an important piece, because we want everyone to understand that these are paths towards quality of care and quality of life, regardless of where people are in their mind at the time, right?
Yeah, and I think you know, it's like throwing glitter in the air sometimes. You want that glitter to fall everywhere. And the only way that culture change is really ever going to get hooked is if we're shooting glitter out from everywhere. And even if, you know, Isaacson Living never becomes part of the Eden registry, we can have people here who embody that, embody the philosophies. It's complementary to what we want to do. It actually builds it and makes it much more fulfilling, I think, for people. But then they're going to take that home. They're going to talk about, hey, look at this great opportunity that I had. And now I see that we really can deliver senior care in a much more compassionate, empowering manner than we have in the past. And I think that that's important, because that's the only way it's going to take seed in organizations that we're having to, you know, drag along the path of culture change.
Yeah, 30 years throwing glitter. I love that. I love that visual. I can just, you know, throwing glitter. But this helps people find things to grasp onto when they're having trouble. And it's personalized.
Very much.
It's not so it's because sometimes people, if they think about things like the checklist, and if you're really doing culture change and person-centered care, it has to be individualized for each organization. But you all have all that individualization built in.
I think anything that's going to empower leaders. And when I say leaders, I'm not talking about like Mahogany Row. talking about the leaders that are right out. I mean, Mahogany Row is important. Don't get me wrong, but the leaders of the model of care and what needs to be done for elders living, those are the people doing the work. Those are the people in the bedrooms, in the apartments, in the households, on the whatever your language is. Those are the leaders of this. These are the ones that are going to be saying, you know what? I don't want to work for an organization that treats elders this way anymore. I want to work for organizations that do this. And we have to plant those seeds. And that's kind of where my mind is at.
Anybody any other questions? I mean, folks that are on the call, Rosemarie, and I'm looking at the registration list, and I don't know if you're on. There you go. You work with the Atlanta Regional Commission, correct?
Yes, I work with the Atlanta Regional, and I am an options counselor. I work for the nursing home transition program.
Nice.
And the program tried to bring people back to the community. And I've been listening, and I'm like, oh, it would be a dream for the nursing home to implement everything that you're saying. Yeah, it seemed a big task, to have that culture change. But I agree with what the last person said. It's going to take everyone who works in this institution to say, I don't want to work for you if you're not going to treat elder right. So, yeah.
Thank you. We're so glad you are on the call today. Thank you, Christy. It was great to have you with us. Let's see, anybody else? Vicki, what are your thoughts? Vicki Harden has worked in change management and project management her whole life, but not in a nursing home. Vicki, do you want to? I bet you have lots of thoughts about all of this.
Yes, I do. I have to be very transparent and say I also am Kim's first cousin, and I have gone through some of the Eden training, but it's been quite a while, and I had met with Kim over the last few months and just said I can't get this out of my heart, and I'd like to plug back in and just see where that goes. But
and Vicki literally was in our very first Eden at Home class in Georgia when Laura Beck came and taught it in our very first class. The same time that I took it, Vicki was in there. So she's been hearing me talk about this stuff all these years.
So it's very interesting to me. My background is in project management, change management in the high-tech world. And I lived in Atlanta 34 years. So now I'm living my dream at the beach. But also continuing, I can't stop. I can't just retire. I have to do things. But just to see, I didn't even realize that was the first class. I guess now I am remembering, but just to see where this has grown, and to see what you just demonstrated as far as your dashboards and all the content behind that. One of the words that came to me, Kim, you used was it makes it concrete. And, having worked with lots of large organizations, and I love that Mahogany Row. I love that, all of those people, and it enables the people at that organization to communicate to that level in a way that is in their language, which is, all this touchy-feely stuff, that's all wonderful, but we work in revenue, profit, not for profit, still has to work with revenues, and to be able to provide the structure around it, is powerful. It's the so what, and let me show you versus just try to explain this. And also I also love the why, adding the whys. I've done a lot of stuff. I'm also a certified Tony Robbins life coach, and why is it's the why, it's the reason. But that also connects to, if I may use the word, selling the concept. It's the so what, when you're trying to explain a concept, to sell it so that it can be implemented, and the so what is really what gets you there. So for right now, that's my input. I'm just really impressed. It makes me want to go be part of an organization so I can get to the certified stuff, and not just the little high level stuff. But that's the learning and development part of me that, I can't ever learn enough. So thanks for asking, Kim.
Thank you, cousin.
And thanks for letting me join y'all. I know several of your names. Either I've met you at a summit or in Atlanta, or Kim's talked about you so much over the years that I feel like I know you personally. So,
what else? Anybody else have comments? Meredith or Denise, do you have any other questions to ask of the folks that are here?
I don't.
So everybody who's listening, and perhaps listening later, if you want to find out more, what should they do? Where should they go? To the website, Meredith? Y'all give them the next steps.
Yeah, so head out to the Eden Alternative website at edenalt.org. There's an Eden membership tab at the top of the website that takes you to a place to learn more and, to gain more information. And then I can try to put a link in the chat box for those of you here to learn a little bit more. And you feel free to share that with people as well.
Thank you. And we'll all be following Eden in social media, and sign up for your newsletters and social media channels. So thank you. I will move on and just share a little bit more information with you all about some updates from Culture Change Network of Georgia. So I'm going to share my screen and get back to where I need to go here. Let me see. I don't know why it skips on and does that. Okay. Wanted to share a little bit of news with you about, oh, there you go. Okay, sorry about that. Upcoming Culture Change Network of Georgia events on November 10th. We are doing, we have Dr. Cameron Camp, who is going to be presenting. He's working with us some on our current grant, and we're going to be talking about communication and some great approaches to help people living with dementia. We're going to talk about how people with dementia can learn. Many can still read, and some techniques to help reduce repetitive questioning. So it's going to be great. And he's going to also talk some about the Montessori approach to dementia. So that will be wonderful. You can sign up and register on our website, culturechange.org. And for those of you who don't know, Culture Change Matters is our educational series that we created. That's also has an onboarding version, and it's being offered. There's two. It lives in a learning management system, and there are 2 modules for supervisory staff and 3 modules for direct care and support associates. So it is 20 lessons, and we have been offering it as with scholarships as part of our grant, and we still have some scholarships available. And our final phase for nursing homes in Georgia to be able to take this and use this content for free for 1 year is the applications are due on January the 13th. We extended that date some since it was holiday time, end of the year. We knew that that gave a bigger, better window for people to plan ahead and put this into their plans for the new year. And the education and training on some of our previous events, the one that I mentioned where Jennifer Kraft Morgan was presenting, we actually talk about that and give feedback from the nursing homes that have piloted it. So it's getting excellent outcomes. So if you have any questions, let us know. And the applications for that are available on the Culture Change website. Our past webinars that we have done as part of the grant, the ones that we've done focusing on trauma-informed approaches, you can all have access to watch those free on our Culture Change education website, which is culturechange-matters.org. And for people who watch those, you can get a certificate for having watched them. Reminding everyone about our videos that live on the Culture Change Network of Georgia YouTube page and our Facebook page. It's easiest to find them and navigate them on the YouTube channel. So we have over 50 and we're continuing to build them. So if you haven't, please go to YouTube and type in Culture Change Network of Georgia and subscribe, which will take you to the channel page. And you can go to the tab that says playlists, and there are all different kinds of playlists, including playlists on becoming an employer of choice, on dementia, including Alzheimer's. There is a playlist for residents and families, and that's where the resident rights video lives. So there are a lot of different ways to look at and use them. So please do. And if you haven't signed up for our newsletter or connected with our social media, please do that so you can stay in touch and abreast of what's going on. We will be releasing the dates for next year's Dementia Beyond Drugs class. We hope we'll be able to do 2 again. And next year's Certified Eden Associate training soon. So be on the lookout for those, because we only have limited numbers of scholarships available for Georgia nursing homes, but everyone else is welcome to pay to take the class. So we just will continue to grow and spread all of this like kudzu. So thank everybody for joining and for watching later. And we hope to see you soon. I can stop recording now. Thank you, everyone, and we will talk soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Anne.
Thank you.